The return of the Jews to the Holy Land. It is not possible for a member of the Ahmadiyya movement to understand and accept the basic arguments and conclusions of this book, without at the same time rejecting the claims of Mirza Ghulam Ahmad to have been the Messiah who would one day return, the Imam al-Mahdi, and a divinely appointed prophet. And Allah guides to his light whomsoever Allah wishes to guide. Jews were not the only ones who were deceived by Dajjal. Many pious Muslims, whose demonstration of a sincere pursuit of faith inspired were similarly deceived. In all sincerity, they joined the Ahmadiyya movement and were convinced that they had embraced the only authentic expression of Islam in the world. Instead, they entered into a trap set for them by Dajjal. How were they deceived? The Ahmadiyya movement believes that the prophecy concerning the return of the Messiah was fulfilled in the person of Mirza Ghulam Ahmad. There are a number of reasons why this claim is false. Firstly, the ahadith pertaining to the return of the Messiah made it abundantly clear that the Messiah who would return would be the son of Mary. But Mirza Ghulam Ahmad is the son of a Punjabi woman. Secondly, if Mirza was indeed the fulfillment of the prophecy pertaining to the return of the Messiah, then he, Mirza, had to kill Dajjal, the false Messiah, during his own lifetime, since this is what the Messiah is supposed to do. This is what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had to say on the subject. We quote the entire hadith for the benefit of readers. Narrated Al-Nawas ibn Salman. Allah's apostle mentioned of Dajjal one day in the morning. He sometimes described him as insignificant, and sometimes described his turmoil as very significant, and we felt as if he were in the cluster of the date palm trees. When we went to him, to the Holy Prophet, in the evening, and he read the signs of fear on our faces, he said, "What is the matter with you?" We said, "Allah's apostle, you mentioned the Dajjal this morning, sometimes describing him as insignificant and sometimes very important," until we began to think he was present in some nearby part of the cluster of the date palm trees. So he said, "I harbor fear in regard to you in so many other things besides the Dajjal. If he comes forth while I am among you, I shall contend with him on your behalf. But if he comes forth while I am not among you, a man must contend on his own behalf. And Allah will take care of every Muslim on my behalf, and safeguard him against his evil. He, the Dajjal, will be a young man with twisted, cropped hair, and a blind eye. I compare him with Abdul-Uzza ibn Khaytan. He who among you will survive to see him should recite over him the opening verses of Surah Al-Kahf. He will appear on the way between Syria and Iraq, and will spread mischief right and left. O servant of Allah, adhere to the path of truth." We said, "Allah's apostle, how long will he stay on earth?" He said, "For 40 days, one day like a year, one day like a month, one day like a week, and the rest of the days will be like your days." We said, "Allah's apostle, will one day's prayer suffice for the prayers of the day equal to 1 year?" Thereupon he said, "No, but you must make an estimate of the time and then observe prayer." We said, "Allah's apostle, how quickly will he walk upon the earth?" Thereupon he said, "Like cloud driven by the wind. He will come to the people and invite them to a wrong religion. They will affirm their faith in him and respond to him. He will then give a command to the sky. There will be rainfall upon the earth, and it will grow crops. Then in the evening, their pasturing animals will come to them with their humps very high, their udders full of milk, and their flanks distended. He will then come to another people and invite them, but they will reject him, so he will go away from them. They will have a drought, and nothing will be left with them in the form of wealth. He will then walk through the desert and say to it, 'Bring forth your treasures.' The treasures will come out and gather before him like a swarm of bees." This refers to the discovery of oil and so many other treasures of the earth. He will then call someone in the flush of youth, strike him with the sword, cut him into 2 pieces, and make these pieces lie at the distance that is generally between the archer and his target. He will then call that young man, and he will come forward laughing, with his face gleaming with happiness. It will be at this very time that Allah will send Christ, son of Mary. He will descend at the white minaret on the eastern side of Damascus, wearing 2 garments lightly dyed with saffron, and placing his hands on the wings of angels. When he lowers his head, there will fall beads of perspiration from his head, and when he raises it up, beads like pearls will scatter from it. Every non-believer who smells the odor of his body will die, and his breath will reach as far as he is able to see. He will then search for him Dajjal until he catches hold of him at the gate of Lud and kills him. Then a people whom Allah had protected will come to Jesus, son of Mary, and he will wipe their faces and inform them of their ranks in paradise. It will be under such conditions that Allah will reveal to Jesus these words: I have brought forth from among my servants such people against whom none will be able to fight. You take these people safely to Tor, and then Allah will send Gog and Magog, and they will swarm down from every slope. The first of them will pass the lake of Tiberias and drink out of it. And when the last of them passes, he will say, there was once water there. Jesus and his companions will then be besieged here at Tor, and they will be so hard pressed that the head of the ox will be dearer to them than 100 dinars. Allah's apostle Jesus and his companions will supplicate Allah, who will send to them insects which will attack their necks. And in the morning, they would perish as one single person. Allah's apostle Jesus and his companions then come down to earth, and they will not find on earth as much space as a single span, that is, not filled with putrefaction and stench. Allah's apostle Jesus and his companions will then beseech Allah, who will send birds whose necks would be like those of Bactrian camels, and they will carry them away and throw them where Allah wills. Then Allah will send rain, which no house of mud bricks or tent of camel hair will keep out, and it will wash the earth until it resembles a mirror. Then the earth will be told to bring forth its fruit and restore its blessing, and, as a result thereof, there will grow such a big pomegranate that a group of people will be able to eat it and seek shelter under its skin. A dairy cow will give so much milk that a whole party will be able to drink it. The milking camel will give such a large quantity of milk that the whole tribe will be able to drink from it, and the milking sheep will give so much milk that the whole family will be able to drink from it. At that time Allah will send a pleasant wind that will soothe people even under their armpits. He will take the life of every Muslim, and only the wicked will survive who will commit adultery like asses, and the last hour would come to them. Sahih Muslim. The hadith is clear. Jesus, the true Messiah, would kill Dajjal, the false Messiah. He will then search for him Dajjal until he catches hold of him at the gate of Lud and kills him. If Mirza Ghulam Ahmad fulfilled the prophecy in the ahadith pertaining to the return of Jesus alayhi al-salam, then he would also have had to kill Dajjal. There could not, therefore, be any possibility of Dajjal, the false Messiah, continuing his mission after the death of Mirza. Yet Mirza died soon after the birth of the Zionist movement, and did not live to see Dajjal's great triumph, namely the creation of the impostor state of Israel and the return of the Jews to the Holy Land. In the entire religious history of mankind, there has never been an event that could compare in strangeness with this achievement of Dajjal, the false Messiah. Thirdly, there is a mountain of evidence, discernible by those who see with 2 eyes, that we are still living in the age of Dajjal, the false Messiah. Such, for example, are the following: the philosophical shirk in modern-day materialism, which has fulfilled the prophecy of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who declared of Dajjal that he would attempt to deceive mankind into worshipping him rather than Allah Most High. The very heart of the attack of materialism emerged from the island of Britain. The hadith of Tamim Dari in Sahih Muslim clearly indicated that when Dajjal was released, he would be in an island, and it would be from that island that he would launch his attack on mankind and on the Jews. We have demonstrated that the island could not have been any other than Britain. The philosophical shirk of the modern Western epistemology that denies the validity of internal intuitive spiritual knowledge, and which is clearly evident in the ominous declaration of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that Dajjal, the false Messiah, sees with one eye while your Lord is not one-eyed. This one-eyed epistemology was embraced by modern Western civilization and then transmitted to the rest of mankind through modern Western education. Again, it was Britain that led the epistemological attack. The universal political shirk of the modern secular state, which has also fulfilled the prophecy of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who declared that Dajjal, the false Messiah, would target mankind to get them to worship him instead of Allah Most High. Modern Western civilization produced the modern secular state that declared that sovereignty resided with the state, that the authority of the state was supreme, and that the law of the state was the highest law. Allah could declare something to be haram, but the state could make it halal, that is, legalize it. This was clear shirk, but amazingly, even Muslims have difficulty in understanding it and recognizing it. The entire world has now embraced the secular state and the secular United Nations organization that leads the system, but this had not as yet occurred when Mirza Ghulam Ahmad died. The scientific and technological revolution that has brought to the world air and space travel, telephones and other modern telecommunications, etc., has deceptively mixed that which is manifestly beneficial with that which is dangerously harmful. That unfinished revolution still has strange and wondrous feats to be performed. That scientific and technological revolution is connected to Dajjal, and this is discernible in a hadith which declare, for example, that Dajjal would ride on an ass, which would travel as fast as the clouds and which would have its ears stretched out wide. This refers to the modern airplane and fighter aircraft. Allah Most High created mankind, and then announced to the angels that he was going to place on earth one who would function as his Khalifa. It would act on his behalf in a capacity subordinate to him. The Islamic Khilafah state caliphate did precisely that. It recognized Allah's sovereignty and supreme authority, and recognized Allah's law as the highest law. It was destroyed by Western civilization after the death of Mirza, and it was replaced by the modern secular state founded on shirk. The new secular state embraced Turkey at the very seat of the Khilafah. This was the work of Dajjal, yet it took place after the death of Mirza. The riba that has embraced the economy and the world in fulfillment of the prophecy of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who declared that the age of Dajjal, the false Messiah, would be the age of universal riba. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam also prophesied that the day would come when you would not be able to find a single person in all of mankind who would not be consuming riba, and that if anyone were to claim that he was not consuming riba, verily the dust of riba would be upon him. That prophecy has now been fulfilled. Riba now controls the entire world economy, but it had not yet done so when Mirza Ghulam Ahmad died. The modern feminist revolution and its struggle for women's liberation that has fulfilled the prophecy of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in which he spoke of women as the last people who would come out to Dajjal, the false Messiah. The last people to come out to Dajjal will be women, so much so that a man would have to return to his mother, daughter, sister and aunt, and tie them fast lest they should go out to him. Dajjal, Kanz al-Ummal, Vol. 7, Hadith number 2116. Most of those who follow him, Dajjal, will be Jews and women. Kanz al-Ummal, Vol. 7, Hadith number 2114.